You know, of all the movies about blue creatures going through a portal into the city, meeting a comedic actor who kind of becomes buddies with, and then is going against this comedy legend that is playing the villain of the movie being super weird and kooky, this one's probably the better one. Sonic the Hedgehog stars Ben Schwartz as the title character, with James Marsden as the buddy who he meets along the way, and Jim Carrey, of course, playing Dr. Robotnik. And this movie, was a surprise. I actually did enjoy this movie enough. It's not a great movie. I'm not even sure if I'd call it a good movie. I think it was a well-made movie for the most part. Maybe I would call it good. Just like barely good movie. I think it is extremely generic. You've seen it 1,000 times. Like I said in the opening bits, it's essentially the Smurfs, and I famously hate the Smurfs 2. It is the worst theater experience I've ever had in my entire life, the worst movie I've ever seen in my entire life. This movie is so much better than that. It's more comparable to the first Smurfs movie. But let's get away from the Smurfs comparison. Let's compare it to Paul, where an alien comes down to Earth, makes buddies with instead of Seth Rogen was an alien. I forgot who else is in Paul, because Paul is kind of forgettable too. But this movie has that same plot where this guy is just, he meets this alien creature and they become buddies, and it's a road trip movie. And it's exactly what you think it's going to be. It's absurdly predictable. Nothing in this movie is special compared to the thousands of other movies that are out there. And I think what does kind of make it stand apart from others is because it has that Sonic name, and Sonic fans are going to go and they're going to see this movie. And I think they will enjoy it because there's a lot of fan servicey stuff. There's a lot of reference to the game. I have never technically played the game. I love Sonic in Smash Bros. I actually think he's a fun character to play in that game. But I am not an expert on Sonic. So if you're trying to find a review from somebody who's an expert on Sonic, this is not the video for me. From a film standpoint, I think it's kind of fascinating how this movie came together, because it had the huge fan backlash with everybody hating the visual effects for Sonic when the first trailer was released. And I'll be honest, I didn't think it looked terrible because I didn't play the game. I wasn't really attached to what he looked like. But when they released the new trailer with a new redesign, my lord, it looks a million times better. It was weird before. Like the creative choices that they made to make him like proportionate to humans was bizarre. This is a cartoony character, and if it looked like that, it would have stuck out like a sore thumb. And it still sticks out like a sore thumb. It is definitely a full CGI character in this movie, but you don't notice it as much because that's the visual style that the movie's going for. So I thought that the fact that they changed because of fans, it worked out for this one. And I think that can be a very dangerous thing. I don't think studios should listen to fans all the time. For this case, sure. But for Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, no. Why did you listen to the stupid fans whining and typing on their keyboards all angry and misogynistic and just crappy, disgusting fans? If you can call them fans. I don't know who these people were. But for Sonic, you know what? Good for them. Good for these fans. They're getting a design that actually looks like the character that the movie's about. So good for them for this one. I think overall the movie is only good. I would say the movie's only good because of Jim Carrey. I think if Jim Carrey was not in this movie, or the villain was more bland, I would have not liked this movie. Jim Carrey is how he was back in the 90s, just completely bizarre and over the top, and he knows so badly what movie he's in. He knows exactly what he's doing, and he is a lot of fun to watch on screen. He is the most entertaining part of this movie by far, and his facial movements in this film are just bizarre. Like, he is talking, his entire head is completely still, but his mouth and his jaw is going up and down like crazy, and his ears are moving, and it's very strange, and his performance is super wacky, and it was very funny. He has some very funny, there's a dance scene in this movie that I think is excellent, and Jim Carrey steals this movie, and he runs with it, and he plays the crap out of this character, and I love that aspect of the movie. This movie also stars James Marsden, who was cut out of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and I think he's fine in this movie as, the buddy to Ben Schwartz's Sonic. I think he's fine, and that's all I'm going to say about him, because Sonic is the main character of this movie, and he is very well voiced by Ben Schwartz, and I thought it was very funny, and his character was entertaining because he was kind of crazy. He's been alone all this time. He has no interaction with anybody else besides, being kind of watching over this small town and kind of making his own stories up and playing different games with himself, and he's kind of insane. He is very unstable, but he is very entertaining, and I love this character, and I think I had fun with him, and I think as the star of this movie, as Sonic. I think he does a very fun job at playing this character, although the action scenes with him are very similar to, say, X-Men with Quicksilver, and I think it has a couple of those Quicksilver moments that is never going to be as good as Quicksilver in Days of Future Past. So take that how you will. I think there's a lot of aspects of this movie that are very similar to other movies that just do it better. But if you're a kid watching this movie and you're a fan of Sonic, or you're being introduced to Sonic through this movie and you haven't seen many movies that are like this could blow a kid's mind. I think it's a very entertaining movie for kids. If you're going to bring your kids to this movie, I think they'd be entertained. As for negatives, I think I covered most of it. This movie is just basically exactly like a million other movies, and it doesn't do anything else better. It doesn't really have any thematic meanings besides, like, friendship is good. It's a buddy road trip movie. That's fun. But it has really nothing else to it. There's nothing special about this movie. Same thing with Dolittle, where Dolittle was a fun enough kids movie that's geared for much younger kids. This one can appeal for a more wider audience, which I think is what they're going for. But there's nothing really special about it in terms of thematic elements. It's not going to blow anybody's minds. It's a perfectly fine and very watchable, entertaining movie that I was surprised about, because I was really expecting the Smurfs. Seeing the trailer, it looked exactly like the Smurfs. And to be fair, it's exactly like the Smurfs. But it's a hell of a lot better than that movie. So thanks guys for watching this review. Also, you know what's such a strange thing? A character in this movie, the cop friend to James Marsden, is the guy from Iron Man 3 in the van who has, like, his hair made up like Tony Stark, and he has a tattoo of Tony Stark on his shoulder. And I think Iron Man makes a joke where it's like, oh, is that Hispanic Christian Bale or something like that? And it's really funny. That guy's in this movie. Super weird connection I made. I was just looking at the guy and I was like, where is this guy from? And that is where he was from. So yeah, that's Sonic. Thanks guys for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you want more reviews just like this one. I hope to see you all in my next one.